Hi, and welcome to PowerViews. I'm Dan McDade, president of PointClear, and your host today. My guest today is Joe Rowley. After a 2-year stint with Salesforce.com in their early days, Joe has for the last 11 years been with Eloqua, which is now part of Oracle. Joe's current position is in social selling, evangelism, and enablement. I knew I was going to have a hard time saying that, Joe. and that's for Oracle's 23,000 sales professionals. And I'm going to read a quote that I think kind of sums up Joe's philosophy, and it's actually echoed on the front page of the Eloqua Oracle website. Summarizing it, it says out there that 3 out of 4 CEOs feel that marketing should be 100% ROI driven. And Joe's specific quote here is that marketing ROI is no longer optional. The pressure on marketing has never been greater. Executives assume today's technology has turned marketing from an art into a science, and they demand measurable return on their marketing investments. Today's successful marketer must be equal parts creative, analytical, and tech-savvy. And I'll bet that goes for salespeople too, Jill. We'll talk about it in a minute. But anyway, welcome to PowerViews. I appreciate your allowing time to join me today.
Thanks, Dan. I'm really honored and excited to be here.
Well, thank you. First, I want to ask you, on your LinkedIn profile, you refer to yourself as an Eloqueen, and I wondered if you could talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So as you mentioned, I spent almost 11 years with Eloqua, really building the marketing automation space. I joined before it was even called marketing automation, and the process of deploying this powerful technology. It's a platform that allows marketing to do a lot of different things, to target and segment their audience, to personalize their communications, to nurture and score leads before passing them to sales, to measure the return on their marketing spend. So there's a lot of things that the platform can provide in terms of capabilities. And the reality is that a lot of this is really new to the marketing professionals. And also the sad thing is that companies are investing in the technology, but maybe not investing enough in the new skills that are required from their marketing professionals. And so I'm a huge customer advocate, and I jokingly say that I'll take a bullet for a customer because I really believe that it's our customers that are the lifeblood of our business. And they're the champions. They're the ones who are willing to take risks to transform the way they do things internally. And so there was a woman, in fact, who she was struggling a bit with the adoption of Eloqua internally because just not enough executive support, not enough resources allocated to the project. And I wanted to thank her for persevering. And I sent her a crown, a tiara, because what woman doesn't want a tiara, and a $25 gift certificate for Starbucks. And I just said, thank you for being an Eloqueen. And it stuck. And so we started to use that term to describe our best customers and our best customer advocates. And we couldn't leave the guys out, so we used Eloqueen to describe them. And I was actually using our internal collaboration tool and crowdsourced. I was tired of my title because I felt like sales rep or account executive didn't really describe what I do at Eloqua. And so I posted on our internal collaboration tool, I'd like a new title, what should it be? And our CEO at the time, Joe Payne, said Eloqueen or the boss. and I immediately said, I'm going to take Eloqueen because the Eloqueen is the boss.
Yeah.
And so by default, I am both the Eloqueen and the boss. But I'm really the champion of the true Eloqueens who are persevering through their marketing automation journeys.
Yeah. Well, that's a great story. I appreciate that. One of the things that I noticed, well, before I get into that, I watched a video of you just recently about how it's no longer, and it hasn't been for a while, the sales process. It's really about the buying journey. And you want to turn everything around, and I think that kind of ties in with Eloqueen because you're really looking at things from a customer's perspective as opposed to what's the next checkbox on my sales process. And I really admire that. I encourage folks to look at that video. You have over 10,000 Twitter followers, so obviously you kind of eat your own dog food. And I was just wondering if and I would say you're probably one of the most successful salespeople that I've met. Can you pass along some tips or maybe even some secrets to folks who are looking to build their Twitter following?
Sure. So I believe in a social surround strategy, and I believe in using social networks like LinkedIn and Twitter to find your buyers, to listen and relate to them, to connect and engage with them, and ultimately to amplify your buyers, the buying committee, and their sphere of influence. And so what that means is, who do your buyers trust? Where do they learn? And what I've done is, I want to be a modern marketing expert, a social selling expert, a social business expert. And so what I do is I surround myself with those people who are the influencers in those topic areas, and I then read their content and I share their content across my social networks, and that creates this relationship with influencers in those subject matter areas, because I'm following them, I'm retweeting them, I'm liking their posts, I'm commenting, I'm favoriting, and I'm leveraging. I say I'm down with OPC. Yeah, you know me. I'm down with other people's content, and I share the content that the experts in those subject areas are generating, and that creates a relationship with them.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that ties in really well to my next question. You know, you've obviously written articles and you've been in some videos, and there's one I took a look at here recently. It was the ABCs of social selling: always be connecting, be an information concierge, and socially surround, which is a phrase you used just a minute ago. You know, if you were, and I know that you do this, as you coach reps on how to become more social, so to speak, you know, what does this, let's say, the first 3 months look like? What should they be concentrating on? You know, what's most important at that early stage?
Yeah, the most important starting point is defining your personal brand. Really getting clarity on the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Not just as a sales professional, because yes, my responsibility includes educating the 23,000 sales professionals we have at Oracle, but my new additional responsibilities are around the social employee. And we're driving an initiative internally within Oracle around the social employee, whether you're in sales, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in recruiting, whether you're in HR, finance, R&D, product, it doesn't matter. We really are driving a social employee initiative. And the first thing that you have to think about is your own personal brand. How do you want to be perceived by people who are visiting your social profiles? And I always say it to salespeople, you know, quota crusher, expert negotiator, President's Club. You know, your buyer goes to your LinkedIn profile and sees it's all about you and how great you are and how awesome your sales skills are. And they don't see anything that would help them meet their business objectives, help them address their business challenges, help them learn more about the issues that surround the modern HR professional or the modern IT professional or the modern marketing professional. And so what I say about that personal brand and building your profiles on social networks is think about it from the perspective of the visitor, of the buyer, of the partner, of the whomever your target audience is that you're trying to build relationships with. Think about how they will perceive you. So it's really about nailing your personal brand and making sure that your social profiles reflect your personal brand.
It's funny, I used to kind of make fun of people who tweeted their location, like, you know, what I'm having for breakfast today. And there's a guy here locally by the name of Todd Schnick, who I think is a cool guy. And he said, you know, read me one of the tweets you got recently that you object to. And I said, well, it's this guy who says I'm in Disney World today. And He said, well, have you ever been to Disney World? I said, yeah. And he says, do you have a favorite place that you go there? Well, why don't you reach back out to the guy and tell him what your favorite place is? Be human. And I thought that was just an absolutely great, piece of advice that I got. I don't know if this is a fair question or not, but if you're coaching a new sales rep, do you say, okay, I want you to start with LinkedIn and Twitter, or where do you point them in terms of the starting place with all of the different things that are available out there?
Yeah, the question becomes, where are your buyers? That's the question you have to ask yourself. It isn't, oh, you've got to be on LinkedIn, oh, you've got to be on Pinterest, oh, you've got to be on Facebook, oh, you've got to be on Twitter. You really have to think about this from the perspective of, where are the buyers? Where are your customers? Where are your partners? And that's where you need to be. And so generally in a B2B world, the buyers are on LinkedIn. So I always, if that is in fact the case, then start with LinkedIn. It's also the easiest channel to start with. It doesn't require as much tech savvy as maybe Twitter does. Twitter can be scary. Like, I've actually sent what I thought was a DM, a direct message, to an individual. I've sent it as a tweet. And that, that's a scary moment when you have sent a tweet to, and it's not just I have 10,000 followers that can see it, it's everyone in the entire world can see the tweet. So LinkedIn traditionally is where I focus the Oracle sales professionals, because I know that the Oracle buyers are on LinkedIn. There's over 250 million members on LinkedIn. So I really start with making sure that your profile on LinkedIn is optimized for your buyers, not the recruiter, because you have your dream job at Oracle, and now you need to keep it by ensuring that you build pipeline and drive revenue. And so how can you connect with your buyers and add value to your buyers through your LinkedIn profile? Once we start to get in the groove around LinkedIn and leveraging the capabilities that exist, which so many people aren't even aware of, an advanced search in LinkedIn and what kind of information you can get to. People aren't leveraging their university and college alumni the way that they could be to build their network and connect with buyers and engage and amplify them. So once we go through the mechanics and the details of LinkedIn, that's when I start to layer in Twitter. And with Twitter, the recommendation is, don't get on and start tweeting. Establish your profile, make it professional, have your personal brand statement in your summary, no eggheads allowed. Like, load your picture, and then have a link to your LinkedIn profile on your Twitter. That goes to the social surround strategy, and conversely, have a link to your Twitter handle in your LinkedIn profile. So make sure that people can find you cross-platform. And a lot of times, from a personal perspective, if I see someone on Twitter that I'm considering following, I'll actually go look them up on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So make it easy for me. Have your LinkedIn URL or a URL to your blog post in your Twitter profile. And so then I start to teach them, okay, how do you leverage Twitter, A, from a listening perspective, and then B, from a sharing and engagement perspective.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, good. And in fact, I'd like to have you back someday. We'll just talk about that one thing.
Yeah.
My last question really is, as you look ahead to 2014, which is kind of scary close, what do you see as changes that are going to be occurring in marketing and sales, say, over the next year or so?
Sure. I think we're going to continue to see a tremendous amount of change. Social has completely transformed the way that buyers are buying and that buyers are getting educated and informed. And I think the power of the people has never been greater. And brands need to really understand the impact that has on their ability to communicate with the buyers. The stats I cite are buyer to company trust is at about 33%, but buyer to buyer, person to person, peer to peer is at 92%. And so the net is buyers don't trust brands, and brands that are getting onto social are just using social as another channel to talk about themselves, to talk about their products, to promote their campaigns. And the reality is that buyers don't care about how you're number one in this and how you're number one in that and how your products won these awards. What buyers care about is how you're helping your customers who look like them solve their business problems and achieve their business objectives. And so what we're going to see is the power of the people and the real need to invest in what I call the social employee. And we're going to see companies starting to realize that social isn't another channel to spam their buyers and to promote their wares, but social is a channel to really leverage that peer-to-peer connection and allow their employees to share their personalities, their voices, their domain expertise across their social networks, which will ultimately deepen the relationship that they have with their customers. You have to do that through your employees, not necessarily through your brand channels, unless you start to, personal experience, Dan, I'm not following brands as much because I know that I'm just going to get the brand PR scripted stuff versus I'm following the individuals, the people. And what I hope to see is that companies invest in the social employee initiative, yet at the same time that they start to realize that their brand presence on social needs to be more personal and humanized and authentic and fun and engaging and not scripted and polished and perfected. So that's what I see. I see the revolution around the social employee.
As far as the social employee is concerned, and this is maybe contrary to what you just said, but do you believe in a handbook or some guidelines for the employees to be able to use social media?
So here's a book, and I'm like a student. I don't know if you can see all the marks and the pages and the highlighting and the notes, and this is it's not my book. You'd think it was my book the way I promote it, but this is a great starting point. And there's an article on Forbes that summarizes a bit of the book. I do believe that companies need social media participation guidelines. Mm-hmm. I think first and foremost, as you endeavor into the social employee movement, you need to protect your brand, you need to protect your employees, and at the same time you need to find ways to really allow them to become social in a responsible way. You don't have to lose the authenticity, but you do need to give them knowledge around what are the various social channels, what's the tone of the various social channels, what's the typical rules and guidelines so that people don't do what I call #social stupid. You do need policies, you do need guardrails, and you do need education. And it's sad that companies are embracing social, but they're not investing in social training. And I do believe Dell is a great example of a company who now they have over 7,000 employees who are certified to engage in social and to leverage the Dell brand, to represent the Dell brand. That wasn't done via a lack of investment. That was done via an investment in the guidelines, the guardrails, the policies, the training, the workshops, and the certification. And you need to do that as a brand.
You need to have some social training wheels before you put them on a two-wheeler, right? Jill,
That's exactly right.
How can the audience get a hold of you if they want to follow up on this?
Sure. Multiple ways. So on Twitter, I'm at Jill_Rowley, Rowley. That's the way we spell Rowley. So at Jill_Rowley. And then go to Google, do a search on Jill Rowley. If you're interested in the topic of social selling, do Jill Rowley Social Selling. You'll get access to a lot of my videos and webinars that have been recorded. And then if you're going to invite me to connect on LinkedIn, you sure as heck better make it a personalized invite. One of my training classes is the art of a LinkedIn invite. And the art of a LinkedIn invite is you make it about them. You congratulate them, you compliment them, you make the invite about that person. You end it with, I'd be honored to have you in my network and delighted to be in yours. But so if you're going to invite me to connect on LinkedIn, make it personal.
Okay, good advice. Well, Jill, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed the conversation. And for now, this is Dan McDade signing off on another edition of PowerViews. Thank you for watching.